Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SciArts Showdown interviews. This is a show where we interview scientists who are working to make the world a better place. And we'll use their work as a brief for a SciArts competition. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Ella Holme, a geochemist from Yale University. Ella's work focuses on taking carbon, one of the elements responsible for global warming, out of the atmosphere. It's work like hers that will help us combat climate change in the years to come. How are you doing, Ella?
I'm great. How are you?
Pretty good. So, you study carbon capture, is that right?
That is correct.
Cool. Could you tell us more about what you do?
Sure. So the method of carbon capture that I study is called enhanced mineral weathering. And basically, the concept behind enhanced weathering is that on geologic timescales, Earth has these natural weathering feedbacks that control the amount of carbon that's in the atmosphere. And when I say like natural weathering feedbacks, I mean how we erode different types of rock on both land and in the ocean. And that removes carbon from the atmosphere to keep things in balance. And so the main goal of enhanced weathering is to take that process that's happening on geologic time and make it happen on human time.
You're saying you're doing all this in human timescales, something that would take forever, right? Or not forever, but geologic time is a long time. Why do we need to do that, and why do we need to do it fast?
As I'm sure many of us are aware, the climate crisis is very real. It's progressing pretty rapidly, and humans are continuing to emit greenhouse gases at astronomical rates.
Right.
And we don't really know what exactly that will mean, but the effects of a climate crisis are going to be bad. So it's important that we not only reduce our emissions, but also continue taking the greenhouse gases that we've already emitted out of the atmosphere. Because even if we stopped emitting all carbon dioxide, for example, today, then the residence time in the atmosphere is still long enough that we would still feel the effects of climate change.
And what do you mean by residence time? Like if I'm driving my car and I expel all my exhaust into the atmosphere and all that CO2, how long is it actually up there?
Between 300 to 1,000 years.
Holy cow. Enhanced weathering. I know you explained it a little bit. What is weathering?
So weathering can be a lot of different things. I think a common way to think of weathering is as analogous or similar to erosion. So like you can physically weather a rock by eroding it with wind or eroding it with water. You can chemically weather a rock by weathering it with, say, like acid rain. But for our intents and purposes, weathering is basically you take carbon dioxide, you put it into water to form carbonic acid, and then you react it with a rock. That is what we consider captured carbon.
What makes you personally excited about carbon capture?
I think it's a really exciting field right now. It's exciting to be in a field that's developing because there's so much uncharted territory. And then, of course, there's starting to be more interest in carbon capture from things like venture capital firms and from political organizations and stuff like that. So I feel like every week there's some crazy new article about carbon capture that just makes me really excited for the future of the field.
What advice would you have for people who want to go into carbon capture work or any climate work activism as a career?
I think now is a really great time to get invested in it. There are a lot of opportunities, and I think there are a lot of different fields that you can be looking into if you want to get into carbon capture. So definitely engineering of any sort is a big one right now for people who are maybe just getting into college and are interested in this type of thing. Definitely chemistry is big, as well as geosciences if you're interested in enhanced weathering. I would say my best advice is to start talking to people, make connections early, because like every industry, it's about who you know.
Right. You don't need a doctorate to get into this kind of work, do you?
No. No, not at all. I work with tons of people who just have bachelor's degrees, and they're all awesome and work really hard.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me today, Ella.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.